me with the clean una house. Na me with the clean una. Na me with the clean una. Na me with the clean una house.
Hello, welcome on board again today, my wonderful viewers. So just from the intro you've seen, you can see I'm looping a particular track at the moment. So that is what we'll be dealing with today now. So loop is one of the integral part of DJing that you cannot run away from. But one key thing about loop here is, if you don't understand the concept very well, you will be making a complete mess of your effort. And especially from the device you are using, if you don't understand what elements every loop comprises of, that is going to be a big challenge for you. So from this brief intro, let's get to see what exactly is loop. So from the layman point of view, to loop something means to cage something within a particular scope. That means when that thing is being executed, it should be executed within a particular cycle. It shouldn't go out of that particular cycle. For those who do office work, let me say your scope, it means your action every day is within a loop. Your movement is within a loop. You go from your house to your office and from your office back home, especially for those in a very heavy traffic city where you don't have time to go around other places. So with such, your entire movement is within a loop. That means from your house to your office. For those in school, almost the same thing, from your school back home and from home to school. Then that is how it is for the layman point of view. I hope you understand what I just said now. So I'm not saying that when your life is tied within that particular scope, it is something bad. Yes, loop is very, very important in our everyday life. It ensures that we don't deviate from what we are not expected to do. So just like the case of the computer, virtually most of the instructions that are written from the programmer who designed the devices are mostly written to loop instructions. A few lines of code will repeat something over and over again, which is the same thing that is applicable to the virtual DJ software. So it's constantly querying the keyboard, for the aspect of the keyboard, querying the keyboard to know what action to execute, if any key is being tapped, and what action to execute next. The same thing with our screen, is constantly querying the LEDs or whatsoever liquid crystals that are there to know if there is a voltage change, to display the next color that is being associated to the voltage. That is why all this display you are seeing. So let's get back to the virtual DJ to see exactly what these loops are all about. So to loop means to repeat something continuously within a particular scope. So I'm going to stop the track for now. So this is it. So if you take a careful look at the wave of the track that we are playing, you will see that you can see, look up, you see some bars up, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So based on the hitting of the track, let me start it again so that you see where the 4 end. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here is 2. Let me take it to 4. That is 4 beats, which is equal to 1 bar. Look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is where our 4 end. So you can clearly see it. So we are repeating. This have the individual loop we have 4, which is 4. We have 6. We have 8. Sorry, 8. The work of this 8 is to cut it into half, and the work of this 9 is to add it. So these are the key elements for the loop. You have 2, you have 4. Then that is how it is. It goes 2, 4, 8. That is doubling. This one takes care of the reducing it into half. So if you are in 4, it will reduce it to 2, and if you are in 2, you reduce it to 1. The same thing for the 9. If you are in 2, it takes it to 4 when you press it. If you are in 4, it takes it to 8. So that is how it does it. But before doing all this, there is something I will need to show you here. We are going to demonstrate it practically for you to see. This particular place, you see, it talks about loop roll mode. So if your loop roll mode is active, it means a lot of things are going to happen. from the detailed information that is showing on the screen. When you right click on it, you will see it tells us there is smart loop, there is loop back mode, there is quantized loop, there is loop rule. Each of these loop is very important, but it has a unique feature that is attached to it, and how you play around with it really matter. If you want to follow the one I talk about, that is using this conventional loop instruction, that is the keyboard where you have your 1, 2, 4 and a host of other, you have to turn off all these individual feature. If not, it's going to give you a result that you don't plan for. So let's see what this smart loop is all about. Let's select it. For now, I turn it off while I've started. That is why I get that perfect loop where whenever you press a particular key, that is for this 4, when you press it, it starts that counting from that particular point. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the 4 bit, which is equal to 1 bar. Then this one is 2 bar, going to cover 2 bar, that is 8 bit, that is the 5. So let's go into it. We'll start with the smart loop. Let's see, this is the smart loop. We have selected it. We are going to start the song, then we'll pick up. Let's turn off the loop first. Let's start it, then we are going to pick the 4. We are going to be dealing with 4 bits for now, so that we understand what we are doing very well. So this is it.
Now me with the clean on the house. Now me with the clean on the house.
So you see, this smart loop has no issue. It's just normal. We are going to turn it off, but it can mess your whole work up when you have another track playing on the other deck. So you have to be careful with it. We'll remove it. We'll see loop back. What does this loop back does? What this loop back does is, when we select our loop and if we release it, it will take us 4 bits backward. That is for the case of the 4 bit. Let's demonstrate it so that you see what I'm saying. Look at it. We'll start. You see?
Now me with the clean on the house. Now me with the clean on the house. Now me with the wash on the house. Now me with the wash on the house. Now me with the clean on the house.
So you can see, when you press it and you leave it, if you press it again, it will take you 4 bits backward. That means it's going to take you out of the initial 4 bits where you are supposed to start your counting from. So that is what this does. That means this loop backward, that is what it does. Then the same thing with this loop rule. So we are going to give it a try. Let's turn off the first one first, the one we just did. We are going to see what this one 2 does. This one is just the opposite of the first one we did, but the good thing with this one there is it's going to loop you at that particular point, but when you release your hand, it will just move as if there was no loop. Let's watch and see.
Now me with the clean on the house. Now me with the clean on the car. Now me with the cook on the. Now me with the clean on the house. Now me with the clean on the house. Now me with the clean on the.
So you see, it pretend as if we didn't lock it. It's actually looping, but it's moving away from that particular point that we started it, that we lock it. So let's see what this quantize also does. The quantize too also has its own unique feature.
Now me with the clean on the house. Now me with the clean on the house. Now me with the clean on the house.
So the quantize, the unique feature the quantize has is, when another track is playing, it will try to marry the two songs. That means synchronize the beat on each other. That is what this quantize is all about. So you have to be careful on how you use it. If not, if you are not very sure at any point in time, especially if you are just starting, turn everything off so that you don't mess yourself up. So that is what I have for you. So you start it that way. Gradually you get to understand what each of them does. So you practicalize it and see. You see the smart loop. The smart loop is also careful. Sometimes the smart loop, if you are not careful, just the way this loop back behave, it can behave in that particular way when you are synchronizing two tracks together. Almost similar with this quantize loop. The quantize loop will pretend to be calculating the beat for you. That is what the quantize does. Why this loop back takes care of looping you backward at every strike of your loop button. The loop roll takes you forward, just the opposite of the loop back. So that is all for it. So let's get to enjoy it as we go.
Now me with they clean una house. Now me with they wash una. Now me with they clean una. Now me with they. Now me with they. Now me with they clean una house. 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 Okay. Now me with they clean una house. Now me with they clean una house.
Okay. Catch you in my next video.